Hello, everyone. As I was sitting here preparing for this class, it suddenly occurred to me that perhaps not everyone is as attached to or fond of this phrase, Shimpo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo, as I am, because of all the time that I spent with Suzuki Sensei. And of course, he was the main spreader of that phrase throughout the West, because of his training with Toei Sensei. And of course, with Toei Sensei, he used this phrase all the time as well. It did, and, you know, when we first went to the, I think I mentioned this, when we first went to the headquarters during the grand opening, well, we weren't used to such a huge dojo to begin with. And when I went to Japan prior to that, we would train at the Haramachi dojo, which is a little tiny room, really, in an apartment building. And I don't remember, maybe it was there, but I don't remember Shinpo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo being there. But in this brand new Tenshinkan dojo, which is 520 mats, in the center is a gigantic key symbol. On the left is a picture of Toei Sensei. And as most of you know, on the right is Shimpo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo, framed and hung to balance Toei Sensei. So that's how important he felt it was. And then in the Tenshin Gosho dojo, which was for key training and meditation, there's no key symbol. And there's no picture of Toei Sensei, but there's a huge carved wooden plaque in the center of the shomen that says Shimpo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo. So from that day, of course, I already knew a lot about it because of Suzuki Sensei. But to have it confirmed like that was very moving. So anyway, we'll cover this phrase tonight and a little bit about how it's used. Okay, so let's do some key breathing first, please. All right, thank you. To begin with, I would like to read you an account I wrote of something that happened with Suzuki Sensei and I in the first, at the grand opening of Aikido headquarters in 1989. Way back in 1989, the grand opening of the new Key Society headquarters in Akabane, Tochigi, Japan was held. It was the night before the big day of ceremonies, and as otomo for my teacher, Shinichi Suzuki Sensei, I was accompanying Sensei back to his dorm room. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was deeply looking forward to finally being able to crawl between the covers of the bunk bed in my own room. At the last moment, just before I closed his door, Sensei said to me, "Be at my room at 6 in the morning. We will visit the shrine." The next morning, just after 6, Sensei and I walked in the dark in the direction of Toei Sensei's family home. Just before reaching the front gate of this ancestral home, Sensei veered left into a kind of tunnel between some ancient ginkgo biloba trees. It was very dark and a bit spooky. Soon we came to a small clearing with a beautiful old shrine house placed in the middle of the clearing. Sensei said, "This is the Tohei family shrine, and in it is a sacred artifact dear to the family from several hundred years ago. Tohei Sensei and I visited this shrine each morning whenever I stayed at the ancestral home with him, said Sensei. Now, just follow what I tell you to do. As you enter the path to the shrine, stand beneath the torii gate and bow once. When you arrive at the shrine itself, bow again. Bring your hands together in front of and slightly above your face and quietly express your gratitude to the universe for all of the advantages you enjoy. Then make Kirei, Ki Barai, to end suffering and recognize the immediacy of awakening. Grab the rope hanging in front of you and shake to ring the bell 3 times. Then bow again, move back down the path, and bow once more from under the torii gate. Sensei, I said, you know I'm not religious. Chris, he said, please just do as I tell you. Someday you will understand. Hi, Sensei, I said. So, of course, I was very familiar with Kirei Ki Barai at that time, but I'd only been training for about 15 years at the beginning of that opening of the new Ki Society Dojo. It was 1989. I started in 74. So I wasn't very mature, actually, yet. I was very fortunate to be training with Suzuki Sensei, so that I had a lot of instruction. It was high level, but I had not matured sufficiently to understand what we were doing there and why. So this is an elaborate ritual, and every one of you almost has done this with me in Japan on occasions. Some of you many, many times. So you're very familiar with it already, but maybe not everyone. So, and in any case, I would like to just say something about ritual. So we don't have a lot of ritual in Aikido, but we have a lot of etiquette and we have a lot of repetitive practice, like Boken, Suburi, Jo Suburi, Hidori Waza, and so forth and so on, Oneness Rhythm Taisa. We have many repetitive trainings that we do, but those are not rituals. A ritual is different. A ritual is something we do to recognize and hopefully celebrate divine mind or universal mind, and at the same time express that through our voice and sometimes even in our body movement. This is ritual. And it's a great opportunity. When I first began doing Ki Irei, Ki Barai with Suzuki Sensei, I just didn't know what to make of it, but I loved him so much. I mean, whatever he wanted to do, I'm okay with it. And I figured, just have faith, someday you'll get it. In fact, that's what he often said to me is, oh, shut up, just don't worry about it. You'll get it someday. When you wake up, you'll know. But, you know, it happens so often that I was very curious to understand. It's not that he never said anything to me about it or explained it to me. He did, but I think I didn't completely understand anyway. Or let me put that differently. I could conceptually, I could understand it, of course. Everyone can understand. But can you experience it? See? So the ritual is all about experiencing something very, very deep and unseen and unapproachable, unreachable, out of our immediate reach. I have to tell you, my teacher in my 3-year retreat was telling me about this. And this is even before Suzuki Sensei, so I had very little idea what he was talking about. But it just happened that during these 3 years, the great earthquake of Los Angeles happened, which collapsed many, many buildings and a few people died. And I was not in Los Angeles, I was further down in Southern California. But I was sitting in the morning and I realized, first I thought, well, I'm having some great experience here. But the floor of the room literally flowed like liquid under me. I was feeling these waves moving through the wood. It didn't damage the house permanently, but it was terrifying for me in a way that I'd never felt before because my senses didn't know what to do with it. And it wasn't until then that I really began to question, really? You know, you really believe that this is solid, huh? Because it was just like water, let me tell you. and many of you have experienced that, I know, because we've talked about it before, you've told me. But it's if you hadn't actually experienced that, then it might be difficult to understand the feeling of not being able to believe your senses. And I've mentioned this because that's what we're dealing with here. When we approach something that I'm calling unapproachable, unreachable, unknowable, unnameable, undefinable, unimmeasurable. And I've called it a lot of things in the past, but that's the main event, is that our senses cannot perceive it. So just like when you see that your senses are playing tricks on you, not dependable, then in the same sense, or by the same token, when you begin to experience that which is unknowable and unreachable by those senses, it can be also very disconcerting. And it takes some getting used to, some approaching again and again and again. At least for me, this was the case. And so I sent you today the definition of Shimbo Uchude Kanno Soku Genjo. I have it here. And I have to say to you that you probably noticed from my writings that this has changed several times. So as I mature, every time I look at this, I have a new translation. I don't change the meaning because the Japanese words say what they say, but you might notice that I didn't put I believe. Often shin, which is mind, is translated as, in this case, believe, or think, or imagine. But that doesn't work for me. But trust does, and trust is a fair translation, I think. Trust, present, universal spirit, feel, reply, appears immediately. So you can translate that or put that into a phrase yourself. I chose, I trust the universal spirit is immediately present. I mentioned the Ki-Ire, Ki-Barai. The Ki-Ire part of Ki-Ire, Ki-Barai is saying Shimbo Uchure Kanno Soku Genjo 3 times. And then the Ki-Barai is you turn and make this motion with your fingers, which I'm not going to do for you right now, and make Ki. And what you're doing there is you're setting the stage and identifying suffering, kurushii, okay, and cutting it. So that basically that means when we say, I trust the universal spirit is present immediately, here, now, and then we cut suffering, that means we refuse to react to the vicissitudes of our life. When our pleasure is taken, when or a pain comes, I refuse to suffer. I refuse to complain about that. I refuse to be unhappy about that. Do you see? So this is very, very important for our training in every way. When you talk about stepping off the mat and practicing even outside of the dojo, this is the key right here to it. This is very important. So this is very important to Suzuki Sensei. And he would often, every spring when we open the dojo, we have a special session where we make ki-rei, ki-barai in the dojo for the dojo, for the building, and for all the students. And I give a little bit of sake to each person. And in the Kakami Baraki, in the beginning, Shugyo Tase Kigan Shiki, the purpose of that is for me to ask you to train sincerely all year. And then at the end of the year, we do the same thing. And again, I make ki-rei, ki-barai, and give you a little bit sake. And that time, it is for me to say thank you to you for training so sincerely all year. So, but you can see that, well, as I said, many of you have experienced this, so you know, but when we hear ki-rei, ki-barai, when we experience it, when we are in the room, we can feel the great presence in the room. And so this is ideally this is of course Suzuki, Shinichi, Koichi Toi Sensei did this, Shinichi Toi Sensei does this, and Suzuki Sensei did this, and now of course I did this. And maybe not so many people in the world do this outside of Japan. And it's okay, it doesn't matter to me, but I want to do it because I want to because it's so moving to me. And I want everyone who trains with me to appreciate this. So, you may have some things you want to say about that, or any question that you might have about that. If so, please ask now.
Sensei.
Like you want to. Oh, okay, Vernon, go ahead.
Yes, Sensei. In your practice for this procedure, does this practice be duplicated for other instructors or other level to practice that same ritual that you perform to other to pass on to the next generation of instructors?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yes, I think I understand what you're asking, or maybe I'll just cover it. First of all, as long as you receive personal instruction from someone who understands it and practices it already, and then, okay, you can do it. Probably, I don't show everyone. I only show some people who show a particular interest in it, or some people that I know will have a particular responsibility towards it in their life in the future. Because I definitely want it to be practiced, but I don't want to force it on anyone if they're uncomfortable with it. I mean, with Suzuki Sensei, I think he just trusted me. I think he just must have had the idea that whatever he did was fine. And actually he was right, But that's not usually the relationship we have with our teacher. Quite often there's some reservation. And I don't, and if there is such a reservation, I don't want to violate that or, well, if somebody has set up a boundary, I don't want to break that boundary for them. On the other hand, let's go, folks. What are we waiting for? Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. Okay.
Well, thank you, Sensei. It's an inspiration to continue.
Thank you very much. Lillian, did you have something you wanted to say? If you do, speak up.
Yes, Sensei. You've mentioned several times over the years that you do this every single morning. And I also know that back when I was training under Senior Nonaka Sensei, he used to do it in the shower every morning, he said, facing north, south, east, and west. So I was wondering, what your morning practice is like when you do this.
Well, thank you. I don't do it in the shower, but it sounds like fun and just fine to me. I do it every morning and every evening. Every morning, first thing I get up, and every evening right just before I go to sleep or go to bed. And I lie down, I say this, and then go to sleep soon. And actually, to tell you the truth, I say it quite a few times during the day. Because I have the habit of, anytime something is difficult, challenging me, and then I like to say, let's not suffer. Let's remember who we are and what's going on. And this is a way, a little ritual, very small, that I can do that, Suzuki Sensei did it every time he got on an airplane, every time he went into the County of Maui building, every time he went into police headquarters, every time he got in his police car. He did it constantly. And he would tell me about all these rituals that he had. One time he told me, every time I light a cigar, but it wasn't because he was afraid of the cigar hurting him. And that's an important thing. We don't do this to control anything. Don't misunderstand. We don't ever do ritual to try to reach into the fabric of the relative world and alter it. This is magical thinking and juvenile. And Suzuki Sensei would never put up with it. I won't put up with it. So I think that it's very, very important that we don't insult the universal condition by bringing it down to this level in that way. So I'm pretty strict about that when I show anybody what to do. Okay, someone else, please.
Hi, Sensei, I have a question. You covered this in chapter 14 of your manual, and you define it, blessed universal spirit, in this present moment, may I directly experience your presence. What made you reduce it to what you sent us today? What did you look at, and what brought about this change?
Thank you. Were you here when I talked about that?
No, probably wasn't.
So,
did you already cover it? Sorry.
No, I just mentioned that you may have noticed that through the years, I have reduced this a number of times. If you look at the translation in this book, the Letting Go book, please throw it away. I don't go for that anymore. But it's interesting. I don't mean throw it. Please don't throw my book away. But if it's very interesting. You should read it, and then read the one in here in the training manual that Tracy is talking about right now, and then read this, and you tell me why. You tell me why I changed this 3 times. And I maybe am not done yet. And I explained that the reason for this is because I change. And even though, so earlier on, I was, like everybody else, quite liberal with my translation of Toi Sensei's words. actually using them to fit, dare I admit this, using them to fit what I wanted to communicate. This is very common, and that's the way the shokushu is, the original shokushu. And through the process of working with Sayaka to translate all of these and all of the other 13 rules for instructors and so forth that we did, I've come to respect Toi Sensei's actual words much more. So if you look at this one, Shimpo Uchure Kanno Sokubenjo, it's very close to just literally exactly what it says in Japanese, much closer than it ever was in the past. And I find that what I said, if you weren't there earlier this evening, what I said was, oh, because I've changed, then I see this differently. Yeah, so, but it's not like I had some grand awakening. It's just the whole process of all the work I've done with translation and editing and using the English language to express what Toi Sensei is trying to express. And that makes me see this a little differently each time. Okay. Okay, since you brought this up, and I don't want to steal your thunder here because I know you're going to cover this at some point, but I want to read something. It is important to remember that this is never to be done with the intention to control anyone or alter any situation. This is always to be done above the head of the other person or over the top of the building or road or airplane. It's never done directly into another person or thing. When we perform this ceremony, we are supporting the clarity of our own state of mind, not attempting to cause others to alter theirs. We desire only to support or help other people, family, friends, students, the community, or the country. As with everything else in life, it is just as effective as your faith is deep. So that to me, that says it in a nutshell. I think I said that already tonight, but it doesn't say it as well as that does because I wrote it down. I think, John, yes?
Sensei, you kind of, your voice kind of fragmented there for like the very beginning part of what you were reading.
Oh.
If you could read that first
Okay.
part once more, I apologize.
It is important to remember that this is never to be done with the intention to control anyone or alter any situation. This is always to be done above the head of the person or over the top of the building, road, etc. It is never done directly into another person or thing. When we perform this ceremony, we are supporting the clarity of our own state of mind, not attempting to cause others to alter theirs. We desire only to support or help people, family, friends, students, the community, or the country. As with everything in life, it is as effective as your faith is deep. Was that clear? Okay. I will, just as a side note, I have ordered a microphone and I will be getting that in a week or so. And when I do, when Amazon sends that to me, then I will plug it in and I will be using that. And I think it will make my voice not just louder, but very much clearer. The sound quality on Zoom is quite poor, as you've noticed. And because of the strange vibration in my vocal cords, I think it makes it even harder to understand. Not to mention, you know, when there's some fragmentation in the force field. Okay, someone else, please. What about Charles Boyer? Why are you quiet?
I don't know, Sensei. Okay, so this is rather mundane, but I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Is this the function of, calling forth or this universal presence? Is this the same as, say, practicing misogi, the chanting during misogi, or say a Buddhist chanting that takes place? Is it the same function?
Yes,
Similar function?
I think so. I don't, I wouldn't call it calling forth anything. We're just acknowledging this presence. When it doesn't need to be called forth. It's not somewhere else that we want to invite it here. This is what this is. It's just recognizing it and then acknowledging it and then celebrating it. And that's what ritual is all about. It's calling it what it is. It's calling this what it is. And then the second part of this is also very important. Keep it high. Refusing to react emotionally with disappointment, which is so arrogant when we are. I'm disappointed too, but it doesn't make it less arrogant. So don't get me wrong. I'm not calling people arrogant. I'm just saying, think about it. Notice what you're doing when you complain about something not going the way you want it to go. That is so ignorant. It's so delusional. Everything that happens, it's not done to cause you suffering. It's done to help you awaken. Yeah, me too, all of us. That's what this life is for. And so this is just calling it out and saying, this is what this life is for. Use it this way. Let's celebrate it this way. Let's acknowledge it openly. And yes, I mean, when I'm doing Sokushin no Gyo, I feel exactly the same. And I've never been a monk who chants, but I've known some. And John is not really a monk, but I think you chant, right, John? That's a ritual. So something like that. And I just want to talk about that. It's not necessary. But so, yeah, of course, ritual is ritual. But don't do it like when we have this word ritualistic. What we really mean is doing something just over and over and over again without any meaning. It's just become a kind of a ritual. But no, it's not that at all. It's a very special opportunity for each of us to discover something very, very deep and mysterious about ourselves. And this is, I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Sensei,
yes.
Prakash, is this what O-sensei would describe as Kotodama?
Well, yes, I mean, I'm not an expert on Kotodama or O-sensei for that matter. But I mean, I suppose Kotodama is, I do know it's chanting, using words and sounds to represent, in his mind, the divine personage. So I don't care if it's Christian and they're talking about Jesus, or if it's Hindu and they're talking about Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's beautiful. It's all the same. It's what we're doing is the same. And it serves the same purpose, in other words. So, and no matter what religion, and I think we might also want to remind ourselves that, everything can be this. Like every form of art can be practiced as ritual. It becomes ritual when what we are representing in our singing and dancing, or in our painting, or even in our landscape design. When what we are expressing is this immediate presence, then it becomes not just an art form, it becomes ritual. It becomes much deeper. And in those kind of cases, like I know an artist that says, you know, don't ever let anybody explain a piece of art to you. Because a lot of times you go to a museum, there's curators around that want to talk to you about the art. And he says, don't ever let anyone do that. You have to go for yourself and stand in front of it and see what it feels like, because you never know, you know. Just because it's a picture of Jesus, of course, doesn't mean it's a true ritual. I mean, that may have very well just been done for money, but give it a chance. And when you read poetry, same thing. Even E.E. Cummings, and he was a non-believer, so to speak, but I feel that some of his poems are profoundly revealing. Anyway, so this is the answer. Yeah, I did to the question. Okay, someone else, please. Someone. There's a little chance here. Fincher Sterling. I know this means a lot to you, so we'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Thank you, Sensei. I do have a question, though. I think I understand it, but it seems in some of the descriptions that the words themselves have power. Is that true? Or if I were to say this without knowing the interpretation, would I be wasting my time? Or is it really dependent on the state of mind as you are saying these things?
Well, if you think about it, Fincher, why would you be saying it? Even if you don't understand anything about it, nothing at all, why would you say it? You would say it because you feel something. You feel some sort of attraction. Maybe somebody just told you, here, read this in the morning. This will save your life. This is great for you. Read this in the morning. So even that, you have an intention there. It's maybe not the deepest level, no. But yes, of course, the words themselves, the vibrational structure of the words as they go into us. I mean, that's why I ask Sayaka always to read the Shokushu in Japanese, because I want everybody to hear it in Japanese. Because when I hear it in Japanese, and I don't understand Japanese, but when I hear it in Japanese, somehow it's very powerful and meaningful to me. Or another way is to say that is, I just really like it, like that. So maybe just selfish of me, but I think it's good for everybody to hear. And so, you know, I don't say, when I do Ki-Rei Ki-Barai at the dojo, I don't say, I trust the universal spirit is immediately present. No, I say, Shinbo Churei Kanbo Soku Genjo. Don't you like that better?
Yes, it sounds much better.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. You know, Japanese language is really beautiful, and particularly the chants, the chanting is really nice. I'm very attracted to it. And, you know, so I practiced it a lot. And I think that, yes, the answer to your question, any level of reading this or doing this is okay. Suzuki Sensei was always very insistent with me, don't show this to someone that won't use it properly. But he was worried that somebody was going to have a misunderstanding and try to use this to make something happen, to get rich or get a boyfriend or get a new car or make somebody well who's sick, or, you know, I mean, these are very popular. And if somebody is ill and they talk to me and ask me to send ki, I send ki. I open my heart to them. But I don't do ki barai. I don't do it because I'm trying to change the situation. I do it because I'm trying to support them. It's like trying to fix a broken arm with kiatsu. You can't do it. First you get it fixed properly. First the arm is set, then you can make kiatsu to make them, feel better and they'll heal faster. Well, same thing, if you're very ill, you get a doctor to take care of you. And if you pull out of it, then this relationship that you've developed with the person that's been sending you their heartfelt ki or heartfelt thoughts, or however you want to put that, is beautiful, very valuable. It's just that we don't want to think that we can alter the nature of the universe. It's not that you can't, it's that you better not try. Of course, we have a lot of power on a physical level. We can alter the course of a river by building a big dam. So there's all kinds of relative things we can alter, but we don't use ritual to alter a relative condition. We use ritual to accentuate the absolute condition. That's a better way to put it. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, everyone. A lot of challenging thoughts in this tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. See you soon. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.